Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final third. And today we're going to be looking at the relegation battle in this spin-off video, as some might say, as there are no games currently, or there were no games on the weekend, so we don't have any games to review. So we are currently reviewing probably the biggest talking point in the Premier League and the most maybe exciting, some might say, as there are a lot of teams involved in the relegation scrap. But before we get into that, Al, do you want to reveal the player from the last video?
Yes, it was Morgan Gamst Pedersen. So let us know if you know who, if you got that in the comments down below. And of course, we'll do the new quiz at the end of the video.
It's a pretty hard one, to be honest. So
Who
I
even is
would
that,
I'd
mate?
be surprised.
No, I think a lot of
Yeah,
people
if,
actually
if you
know.
get that, fair play. It's a
I think a
hard
lot.
one though for some of the newcomers. Anyway, let's get into it straight away. So, guys, we have a hell of a relegation scrap on our hands. Currently, Al, you support West Ham, and West Ham
Yes.
are currently the team in the drop zone, but they are also the team that's probably in the best form out of the teams in the relegation sides. But let's just list the teams that we think are sort of in the relegation scrap. Wolves are going to get relegated, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Burnley, they're probably going to get relegated. They're the second most likely team. West Ham are there, so we'll include like five teams now. So West Ham, Forest, Spurs, they're definitely in the relegation scrap. Leeds, even though they're in good form, they are only 6 points clear of West Ham. And Brighton, and even Palace if you want. So it's about six teams that can
Yeah,
really,
agreed to be fair.
realistically,
Yeah.
since there's not a 10 point gap, that's kind of the criteria went off. If there's a bigger than a 10 point gap or a 10 point gap, then you're not really involved in the relegation scrap.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that to be fair, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good. That's a good five.
So listen, let's start off with the team that is currently in the relegation zone. Al,
Yes.
what are your thoughts of it at the moment, and do you think you can get out of the relegation zone?
I mean, with the momentum we've had in recent games, I think if we just keep it up, then we should be all right. Considering that the other teams have gone through a bit of turmoil at the moment, Spurs and Nottingham Forest both sacking their managers after poor results and poor form and stuff like that. And I look at Nottingham Forest, and they brought in Vitor Pereira, who we know obviously got sacked at the start of the season with Wolves. I don't look. I don't think he's a good manager, really. Whether he's going to be able to, maybe Nottingham Forest get a bit of a manager's bounce from him. The only thing is with Vitor Pereira is, unfortunately for him, his first game is going to be Liverpool. So that's not going to be an easy start. And Liverpool aren't doing too bad themselves. They obviously just won their last game against Sunderland, so that's going to give them a bit of momentum for themselves. So yeah, it's not going to be an easy start for Vitor Pereira, especially considering the atmosphere probably around Nottingham Forest at the moment. Yeah, so I think we can catch them, especially with the form that we're in, and we've got Bournemouth next, but that's definitely not an easy game. And yeah, I do think we have a good chance with the way our team is playing, and players like Somerville being in the form of his life, one of the most informed players, in the Premier League at the moment. I think he's got 6 goals in 7 games. We're not doing that joke right now. But not just him, even the defense, which has been a big problem this season, have started to really form like, I don't know, just really doing really well. Because towards the start of the season, I felt like anyone just could get through our defense, like literally anyone. It was so bad, but now it feels very compact, and I think you got to give some credit to Nuno because he's changed the formation and style of play, and it's really worked, and we found a lot of success recently with it. So yeah, I'm feeling quite hopeful. With West Ham, if I'm being honest, considering the form that we're in and some of the players, the form they're in, and the confidence they have. So yeah, I'm feeling quite confident, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's fair. Listen, let's discuss the biggest team. Some might say a team who won the trophy most recently. Actually, not technically that's Crystal Palace. Anyway, Tottenham won the Europa League last year. They are currently in the Champions League, but they won't be in Europe next year unless they win the Champions League. Um, what do we think about their situation? Because on paper, in the last 5 games, they currently have the worst form out of all the relegated sides, all of relegation candidates, on par with Brighton.
Yeah, I think it's quite a hectic situation for Tottenham. I mean, I thought when Thomas Frank came in as obviously a very good, experienced coach for Brentford, right? I thought he'd come in, do a good job at Tottenham, and unfortunately, proved us wrong. although he's a great manager, just I think he lost the dressing room. Like some of the players in there got big egos, obviously, and Tottenham isn't really a small club. I mean, in my eyes they are, but in general, like, generally speaking, from like a non-biased view, they're not really a small club. They're one of the big six. So I think for a manager like Thomas Frank, who doesn't really have the best CV when it comes to managing a club like that, I think he struggled at Spurs, and it was quite evident in the results. Yeah, I thought after winning Europa League, they'll have some sort of momentum to go off from. Obviously, a little bit of spending in the transfer window as well to get some players in. They did bring some good players in, like Xavi Simons and Kudus as well, but Kudus has been injured for a bit, and Xavi Simons just hasn't been having a lot of quality with other players in his team. I mean, there's not enough quality for him to create enough chances for. I think Solanke's not been that bad, but I think Tottenham's situation in general, like the team just not really doing well together. The cohesion isn't really there. And yeah, I think it's quite a dangerous moment for them, especially with the new manager. If he doesn't come in and get results, I think it could be a very tough, situation for Tottenham. And as much as I don't want to say I don't think they'll get relegated, I think it's definitely possible if the other teams, start to get momentum and get a better form. Teams like West Ham, Nottingham Forest, if they can get, the right, manager in. I mean, West Ham obviously got Nuno in, and he's starting to do a good job. He's calmed the storm down at West Ham. So I feel like if that happens to Nottingham Forest, then Tottenham has a really good chance at being part of the relegation scrap, especially if the new manager doesn't. I don't know. I mean, I really see him much at Juve. I think at Juve he got sacked, very early on. So I'm not really confident in how he's going to manage Tottenham. So yeah, I think it's looking a very dire situation, and even like Crystal Palace as well. They won the FA Cup and the Community Shield last season, and even for them, it's looking like a relegation scrap. The manager's going to leave as well very soon. The squad looks a bit shaky. They're playing a midfielder at centre back as well. So yeah, there's a lot of teams that, especially the London clubs, yeah, they look like they're struggling this season. It's quite unfortunate, but it's part of football. Sometimes even the big teams struggle.
Yeah, 100%. The one thing I wanted to mention is that Tottenham were in the relegation scrap technically last season, even though they finished 13 points clear of the relegation zone. This time round, it's too close to call. You don't know who's going to finish in the relegation scrap. And the way Tottenham have been playing, the atmosphere around the club, the sacking of the manager, whether the new manager can come in and make an impact is there to be seen. I don't see the differences between Tottenham now and Tottenham even 2-3 years ago. They don't have a quality footballer. In terms of you look at the big six sides now. Arsenal, they have the likes of Declan Rice, Gabriel,
Used to be Kane.
Bukayo Saka. Exactly, used to be Kane, used to be Son. Man City have Haaland, and you can name the whole City squad really. United have Mbeumo, Cunha, Bruno, and all of these guys. Chelsea. Listen, you can go through most of the teams in the top half of the table, and you can name multiple players that would get into a lot of teams in world football. To be honest with you, but in Tottenham, realistically, other than the centre backs, who do you put in? Not really anyone, if I'm honest.
Ian Sandback's not that great, if I'm being honest.
No, I'd say Van der Ven's quite good. Listen, Romero's a bit rash, but I mean, those are their best players at the moment. Even if you don't think they're that great, those are their best players at the moment. So,
I think Vicario is probably like underrated as well. I think he does save Tottenham a lot of situations.
He's too inconsistent, man.
He does make. He does, but apparently he's got a mistake in him. So as a goalkeeper, you want a keeper who's more secure. Do you know what I mean?
I see him make like crazy saves. To be fair, that's the point I was trying to make. Like there's times where he's kept them in the game because he's made an outrageous save. If you know what I'm trying to say.
There's also times he's probably cost them games.
That do that. Exactly.
Maybe, but I think very often there's been that off-field plays like the defense, like Romero just being rash and giving away like fouls and red cards and all that. So I think it's a mixture of both, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Their team isn't good enough. That's what I'm saying. They had a quality squad a couple of years ago, and now it's just fallen off. And you can see that they're just in the bottom half of the table, which is mental to say because you're so used to Tottenham being
ambitious
around
club,
the
in my
European
opinion.
spots.
Yeah, with the
especially
stature
with
and with the
Daniel
stadium
Levy.
they've got, like I think they should definitely do better. I think him leaving. I thought him leaving would be a good thing for Tottenham, but it's looking like the opposite effect, which is not good.
100%. Let's discuss another team that is in the relegation scrap because it isn't just Tottenham. Technically, Leeds are in the relegation scrap. Sorry. There are a newly promoted side, and they've done probably better than we expected because we thought it would be another one of those where the promoted sides would get relegated flat out. I mean, Wolves done some of the teams a favour anyway. But I will say that Leeds have had decent form of late. they've kind of gone off the rails a little bit, you might say. They only won like one in the last four in the Prem, which isn't,
They
terrible.
had hard games, to be
Again,
honest.
yeah, I agree, but they've also won a lot of hard games. They got draws against Man United. They beat Liverpool, I believe. Did they beat Liverpool or did they
Ye-
draw with them?
Drew,
They
I
drew with
think,
them.
Drew,
wasn't it?
yes.
They drew
Yeah.
a
They drew
3-3.
Chelsea as
And
well
they
last
beat
weekend.
Chelsea. They drew with Chelsea last weekend, but they beat them at home.
Yeah.
I think in
Yeah.
December. So
Yeah.
they've had big results, and I can see Leeds beating some of the relegation fodder. So I don't know whether realistically they're going to be in it. You can discuss a team like Brighton, maybe. What are they missing? They're missing a lot, for honest.
Brighton, yes.
Yeah.
It's a weird one with Brighton because they always usually come up with a real superstar player every season, and we thought Baliba was going to be that guy. Obviously, last season he was incredible, and he was on Man United's radar. But this season he's just completely fell off. We thought maybe during AFCON he did play well and thought maybe he'd revitalise the season because of that. But nah, he's just been absolutely awful for Brighton, and he was their kind of key player that was kind of dictating play for them and really key to the way they were playing. However, because now he's not playing well, and then the rest of the team aren't playing great either, it's just not looking good. And the biggest problem they're having is the fact that they're not being able to get over the line in games. There's a lot of times that they will be winning games, and they just won't be able to hold on to the lead, and that's their biggest problem. Whether that's a mentality issue or it's to do with the quality in the team, I'm not too sure. I don't watch enough of Brighton to know. Obviously, if you're a Brighton fan, let us know what is the major problem at the club right now that is causing this. I've seen I think I've seen some bit of outrage towards the manager. Obviously, he is a young manager, so he is, probably does lack a bit of experience, and probably never had to experience something like this. But again, I think he isn't necessarily a bad manager. I mean, look at last season; they weren't that bad themselves last season. But yeah, I think there's just a lot of issues that have caused this problem this season. Especially I think the key thing probably being the fact that Baliba's fallen off big time. It's a player like that dictates play and really carries the style of play when they're not playing at their best. Yeah, it can ruin everything for a team. So yeah.
100% agreed, and maybe you could even say the same thing with the Crystal Palace as well. They've lost a lot of players. They have a couple start. I mean, Adam Wharton's still fantastic, but I see him leaving next year, even if they don't get relegated. So they might be safe this year or just about safe. They are technically still in the relegation scrap, but even then, they are losing players like crazy over the last couple of years. The likes of Olise, which we see what he's doing at Bayern, it's unbelievable. He's up there in the top three right wingers in the world easily. And Eze, to be fair, he's not really been doing that great for Arsenal. He's had good moments. I mean, Gay, he's gone into Man City and hit the ground running. And those are three players that have joined massive clubs and have done. I mean, most of them done great. I mean, Eze's probably still adjusting, I guess. When you lose players of that quality, you're obviously going to fall off by quite a considerable amount. And, even the fall off with some of the players like Mateta is quite something, kind of sad to see, if you're honest. Palace was so great last year, great in the league. They finished quite high up in it, and they won the FA Cup as well. So, you got to respect what they did last year, but it's going to be a bit difficult this year and even next year as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to discuss any other teams? Could you maybe say something about Burnley? I don't know, because they are off. They are far, but they are 9 points behind Forest. You never know.
I think Burnley are pretty dead on getting relegated, unfortunately for them. But I think we did skip over Nottingham Forest. I'm not sure if we talked too much about Nottingham Forest, really.
No, we didn't, to be fair. Yeah, I was thinking.
And yeah, realistically, with their situation, whether you want to blame, obviously a lot of the fans, we've had a couple comments of the fans.
I want to say one thing. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, comments, just to point out.
Do you know with Morgan Gibbs-White?
Yes.
I wanted to discuss him.
Okay,
he has fallen off a cliff. And he has not been very good for Forest because he was probably their star player last year, if you remember.
Who to do this transfer that fallen off between Spurs and Forest, in it?
To be fair, I remember. Yeah, he was very close to joining Spurs.
Mental situation.
And then obviously the way we don't talk about how he stayed and how awkward it was. It was very, very awkward how he stayed.
Yeah. I don't think he's been terrible.
I don't know whether he's. He's not been, but last season the difference. Do you know what I mean?
I don't necessarily think that's just on him, though. I do think because of the
No,
fact that
I
the
agree.
rest of the
But
team aren't playing well,
when
it's
he's
hard.
the star man. What I'm saying is when when a team needs a star man, right?
Yeah, I
Let's
get you.
for example, I know I'm gonna give the example of Bruno Fernandes for Man United. Obviously, there's no conversation between Morgan Gibbs White and Bruno Fernandes. But my point is sometimes when your team does bad, you need that kind of a player who's consistently doing well.
He's
Yeah,
the
I get you.
captain too, as
Forest,
well.
he's their captain as well. That's my point. The captain needs to be consistent.
Yeah.
Keep the players' head high, and he hasn't been that great this season, if I'm honest with you, and he's fallen off quite a bit. But then you can say the whole thing about the whole team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's to do with the unrest at the club. Obviously, sacking managers back and forth, and that's not really helped the situation. Obviously, like the owners actually clashed out with the players and with the manager at one point as well. So it doesn't really set a very good like environment for the players to obviously thrive in. And you can't really blame them players for that because when there's unrest at the club, the whole team just capitulates, doesn't do well. So I don't think that's something that you can really like blame towards the players as such. If your environment is not good, if there's not like good energy going on, then the players will not play for the bad. You know what I mean? They'll just do the bare minimum and just try to get through results.
Yeah, it's crazy because this is the fourth manager they've got this season. Because they obviously started with Nuno, had Ange, then Dyke, and now it's going to be It's going to be Vitor Pereira. And it's just I don't know how Pereira plays, like what style of football he
Can they hit
plays.
the record? Can they get 5?
Just downgrade.
How is that not a record? I thought that's crazy, but
I don't know. Let me.
Look,
You know what? While you guys discuss it, I'll double check.
but look, my point being the fact that they changed, like for example, the change from Nuno to Ange was probably the biggest change in terms of manager, in terms of style of play, because they play two completely different styles of play, and we saw how much that negatively impacted them. We saw how many losses they got during that period. With
Yeah.
I don't think they won a single game with Ange when he was in. And it wasn't just that it was awful. It wasn't just the fact they weren't winning. They were absolutely awful. It was some of the worst football I've seen. And considering like what they went from and to with Nuno and then to Ange, yeah, it was really sad to see for them. And then Dyke comes in and you think, maybe he can kind of recover it because he doesn't play necessarily a style of play that's that far off Nuno. Right, and you got to feel bad a little bit for the players because they're having to adapt to style after style after style, and it's not easy, especially with the limited time that they have to, adapt to this style. I think Dyke, we got, like I said, we got a couple comments saying that he had to go, and I cannot completely understand that considering the situation and the form. But we talked about in the last video, there were certain games where, like for example, maybe it was only this game, but like the game against Wolves, that's just not on the manager. You can't have 10 shots on target, not score, and blame that on the manager. The manager is not on the pitch. He's set them up, like Hassan said last video, to win that game, and they just didn't do it. And
they drew against Arsenal as well. They drew against Arsenal. They beat Brentford. They drew against Crystal Palace. These are good points to win. You know what I mean? Like, and Sean Dyche has like executed those games perfectly from a managerial perspective. He's done the best he can with the team he's got. And he beat. Did he beat Forest away as well? I mean, sorry, West Ham away.
Yes,
that was. Yeah, he did.
Yes, he did, and it was to be fair, that was a very close game, but nonetheless, he did it, and
he got results.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't understand the comments. Like, look, you can insult me as much as you want, but the facts are the facts. You know what I mean?
In that
he was no, but my point is that Sean Dyche was getting results. Like, you might not like his style of football. Maybe recently you're pissed off about the Wolves game. But United drew against Wolves. Still didn't want Amram to get sacked because I know deep down there's deeper lying issues at the club. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna get pissed off over one result. However, when you look at it from a general point of view, he was doing a good job. I don't think the team was doing that badly under him. I think they got results and got points where they should have not got points from bigger clubs, which is you got to respect that. And when Schuldeich comes in, you're not gonna watch Tiki Taka Barcelona. You know what I mean? You're gonna come watch a guy. Yeah, who plays counter-attacking football, sits back after scoring a goal or two, and that's it. You know what I mean? And that will get results most of the time. So it's a formula that works for him. You know what I mean? And people need to understand that. And when your club at Nottingham Forest has had no stability whatsoever, with your owner sacking managers, all the time, then you need to stick with one of the managers getting you results and getting you some points here and there. So yeah, it's just I don't get what the fans are trying to say. Maybe they know something that I don't. But from what I'm seeing, I don't get it, to be honest. I think he was doing a good job.
Just as one thing as well. Obviously, we were just trying to see whether they've had the most managers sacked. Yes, they have actually
I
in
thought so.
Premier League history. Technically, they've had the most managers, which is four different
Yeah.
managers. Another club is joint with them in Watford in 2019-20.
Watford are notorious
had-
for that. Absolutely notorious for
Yeah, they
sacking
are.
managers.
They are notorious for that. But no club has had five managers in one league season. I mean, you never know if Victor Pereira
Surely
has.
not.
No, but what were they
Surely
thinking
not.
with
You'd
him?
hope not.
Like, what did he do with Wolves? He did not. He could not get them the first win
I
in
mean, he
X
did.
amount of games.
I think it's more for maybe that relegation experience because obviously he did, keep them in the league last season. But again,
Last
I
season, to be
don't
fair.
know if that's gonna warrant them. Look, mate, maybe he hasn't even played a game yet, so we can't, we can't really,
Yeah, can't
um,
judge it. No, you can't
can't
judge it.
judge it. But just
Yeah.
from experience from the start of the season, I just don't know. But maybe
I mean,
that
I guess he's
new,
Portuguese. That's one similarity of Nuno, I guess.
maybe
but
that change of manager
only
might
similarities,
help
but
the players and might get them, push them through some games. But we'll see.
100%, I agree. The thing is, I think I'll just mention one more point, and it's just about the team that is in the relegation zone. We discussed them at the beginning, West Ham.
Yeah,
I feel like they have more players in form than
Yeah.
any of the other teams in
Yeah.
the relegation scrap. The likes of Mateus Fernandes, the likes of Somerville.
yeah.
Areola's been fantastic, has made some fantastic saves for West Ham. And you can mention a lot more
Malik
players. Well,
Diouf.
Bowen's had got Malik Diouf. Do you know what I mean? I feel like West Ham, I was going to say it, they get relegated. They're one of the best relegated sides in
Yeah.
history.
It'll be
Or
like
in
the
history of
03
Premier
season
League.
for them.
Literally, a repeat of history.
Exactly. They've got such a great team, and they've got a team that has potential. I feel like if they stay in the Premier League, keep a lot of their players, next season, I'm not going to say the sky's the limit, depending on how the transfer window goes, depending on who they sell, depending on who they keep.
Yeah.
I feel like, obviously, let them get out the relegation zone first. Let them stay in the
Look,
Premier League.
next season,
When they do,
yeah.
or if they do, then next season, I'm not going to say sky's the limit, but you never know.
But next season, just don't let us be in the relegation scrap and I'll be happy. I just cannot deal with this kind of stress right now, bro. Especially because we're in the relegation zone, it makes it even more stressful. Like, Jesus Christ, I swear down.
Yeah,
Like,
I can't imagine it.
I don't, just give me mid-table. Mid-table, I would take it all any day, bro, next season. Just not this shit again, I beg. It's just too stressful. But anyway, yeah.
Well, guys, that is most of what we can talk about the relegation scrap side of things. Unless there's any points you guys want to add.
Not really. Yeah, I don't really have
Nothing I
anything
can
much
really
to say.
think of. I'm trying to think. Crystal Palace, maybe? No, not really.
Well, then
Yeah.
let's go on to. There is one game that is technically a part of the previous match week because we checked the Premier League app and technically it is a part of it, and is the Wolves vs Arsenal game. We'll give you our predictions for that game just as a little thing, and we might discuss the game a little bit as a review on the next video. But what do you guys think will happen in that game?
Honestly, I'm saying 3-1 Arsenal.
I'm gonna go a bit brash and say 4-0 to Arsenal.
I'm gonna go say 3-0. So we've all got different results, but it's pretty fair.
You never
I'd
know.
say.
Wolves could do a
unless-
masterclass here.
Honestly, the thing is, with Wolves, they have nothing to lose. They really do.
That's
they
what.
have
Also, they're at
nothing to
home.
lose.
They're at home, so that's why I gave them.
They're
a
at home, and that makes them dangerous. And also, they haven't actually been playing that bad throughout the whole season. If I'm honest, they get so unlucky with some of their games.
Yeah.
The one time I remember them getting smashed by a team really was Man United when they played them at Molineux.
And
They
the
lost
first game of the
4-1.
season. Let's not forget that against City,
Oh,
4-0.
yeah.
True. But other than
Yeah.
that, really, there's not really been much, especially
Yeah.
at Molineux, is what I'm trying to say as well.
Yeah. No,
Do you know
you're
what I
right.
mean? But Arsenal are the league leaders. It's top versus bottom. So
I
you
think
never
Arsenal.
know how it goes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I think.
in these games, in the top and sorry, I don't mean to.
No, go for it.
From the top and bottom game, it's the most interesting game because it's like anything can happen. Like Arsenal need it, but technically Wolves do as well. But you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
the results are so unpredictable in this specific game when it's top v bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So long as Wolves doesn't gift own goals cheaply to Arsenal like last game, then it'll be fine.
Oh
But
yeah.
you know what I mean? Because they scored all 3 of their
100%.
goals, and Arsenal still won the game. So
Yeah.
they're pretty funny.
What are you gonna say, Al?
I was just gonna say Arsenal just they're capable of having like a 4-0 thrashing, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that Wolves will still get a goal and it won't be too bad. But yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
You never know. But I feel like Arsenal just have too much quality to even get anywhere near a draw or a loss. So yeah, I feel like a win's definitely on the cards for Arsenal. So again, you never know. Football does strange things sometimes. But that is it, guys. Thank you guys for coming in. But before we end the video, Al, can you give us the next quiz, please?
Yes, he is the only English player to ever win the European Golden Shoe while playing in the Premier League. Secondly, he scored 30 league goals in the 1999-2000 season for a newly promoted side that finished 7th. Third, he formed a prolific strike partnership with Neil Quinn during his most famous Premier League season. Fourth, despite his incredible club scoring record, he only earned 8 caps for England. And fifth and final fact, his most successful Premier League spell came at Sunderland, where he became a club legend. Let us know if you know who that is in the comments down below, and at the start of the next video, I will reveal the player.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Thanks for coming in, guys. Really appreciate it. And yeah, please leave a like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you get notified when we upload videos. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Deal.